Aloha and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Got Your Six podcast. This six-question podcast brings together high performers to share their methods, strategies, and ideas, delivered in an informative and, most importantly, actionable way that'll help you lead yourself and those around you from the battlefield to the boardroom. Coming to you every episode, I'm your host, Tony Nash. And into the breach.
Nothing mentioned on this podcast is an endorsement or opinion of the Department of Defense.
I got your six, we got your back. Got your six, we got your back. Got your six, we got your back. I got your six.
Sixers, what an unbelievable treat. Our guest, we've kind of gone back and forth for a number of years now, and what he's been able to do, and how he's grown one of the fastest growing veterans brands in the U.S. currently, and it's all around junk. But what our guest does is he finds treasures in that. JDog Flanagan is here, CEO and co-founder of JDog Brands. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the Got Your Six podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tone.
Absolutely. And it's not just you, right? You and the team, you and your wife, being on this journey together, have just found ways, as we talked before the show started, to give back to current service members and veterans. You being, a United States Army veteran yourself. In all that, right? You build something great on a solid foundation, and part of that foundation I would attribute, to the military. What do you constantly implement from your time in service, on a daily basis?
They call me the king of waffling around this office, and that's because I could walk in my office and some point, shut the door, walk out 15 minutes later, completely change the direction of the company after we just had a strategy meeting. So I kind of drive the teams crazy here, but I think the best way to build a business is to constantly make adjustments. I don't believe in we're going to run this out for 6 months and there's no change and rah. This is what we're doing and we're sticking to our wins and losses and then we'll reevaluate then. You got to wake up every day. You got to change things hourly, in my mind. And it may sound crazy, but it's been able to grow us to nearly 300 locations, including 30 carpet franchises, which we launched 3 years ago, which I'm not sure if you're aware of. Mm-hmm. So it's been able to, those quick thinking, tactics that we've been able to generate here. And it's like the military, the generals and the top dog may be making these big decisions, but it's the ground soldiers, the ground troops that have to make a quick move here or there to adjust.
Yeah, and I mean, you were that, right? You were a combat signaler in the infantry, a door kicker more or less. But I love that you follow your gut, right? Because a lot of times you're like, why didn't we stick to the plan? Well, sometimes the plan would have meant we would have literally gone off of a cliff. How do you continue to help the team, refocus after a decision is made so you're not regretting any of those life decisions that do occur?
Well, I think I take full responsibility for their decisions, and that's one simple way. I give them the ability to make, the moves on their own, but I'm the first one to say, let's pull back or let's get a little more aggressive. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? It's my fault, not theirs. But it gives them a chance to take those risks and know that they're not going to get hammered over it because, if you're not trying to move things, forward, then you're sitting back,
Right. And is that through constant communication? What does that look like for you and the team to say hey, I know this might be an area where we're going to assume a little bit of risk, but I trust the decisions you're going to make?
Yeah, it's constant communication. We have a weekly staff meeting, but that's just an overview of what we do on a daily basis. Yeah. I'm constantly with my wife here. We run the company together. We're always interacting with the staff to find out, where we're at with this or where we're at with that. So there's a lot of, quick call meetings that we do and a lot of one-on-one. And I think that, being the leader of a company like this, you need to be in the ground with everyone. I'm not working off site somewhere. I'm not in Florida, on the boat, which a lot of people assume that I'm running things from. You're in here on the ground, level until this thing gets to where it needs to be. It's all hands on deck until we really saturate the country with a veteran-owned business.
It's only a matter of time at this point. You talked about working with your wife, and as the two of you have kind of come up and built this thing together, there can be friction, right? Because you have your personal relationship and then the professional relationship. What has really allowed the two of you to thrive together and build JDogs to where it is?
Well, I think it's all about respect.
Yeah.
She respects me as the CEO of the company. She certainly gives me her input. I call her our little chief of staff. She really manages the team. We have 18 employees. Basically, it's half women here, and she can relate to the women so strong as a leader. And also, we have half veterans. So it's really important that there's two perspectives here, giving input on how to communicate to the veteran community, military spouses, and those military families. It's such a massive group of people in the country. It's not just the veteran, it's the patriots behind the veterans, it's also the military spouses. There's a lot to deal with here, and it's great having my wife as a partner, because we're able to work the 80-90 hour weeks, and we do it together, and it's a lot of fun.
Is there a time protected or a ritual that the two of you do, whether it be daily or weekly, to kind of recenter? Because like you said, you have a weekly staff meeting. Do you guys look to recenter together?
Her and I, no, it's all in.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, she's got her podcast going. She's booked out almost a year.
Which we have to give a quick shout out to, if you want to talk about real quick.
Yeah, it's called Tactical Treasures, and it was a spinoff of our television series Operation Hidden Treasures, which was on Discovery Channel. And Jim Mealy and I thought, hey, why don't we have a podcast to kind of talk about treasures in people's lives and what it means to them? And it started off with a simple 20-minute podcast. Not as professional as yours, but it's a very every time I'm on LinkedIn and I'm saying, hey, General Petraeus, you want to be on this? Hey, so and so want to be on that? Matt Eversman want to be on this? These rock stars in the veteran community are like, I'd love to, and they're all replying. You have big LinkedIn, group of friends, and I've been like her agent, so I'm like lining people up for her left and right, and I don't think anyone has said no yet. And she's getting better at it, and we're figuring out how to advertise and market that a little bit more. But all it really does is it's not overly scripted. It's not too long. It's like bring a tactical treasure, whether it's emotional or physical, to the podcast, and then tell us what you're doing in the veteran community today. It's that simple.
And there's something to be said about artifacts, and I think that speaks, along with where JDog Brands has continued to grow, because it is junk removal operation at its core when it started and what it still is. But people hold on to the things that are near and dear to them, where to somebody else it might not mean anything, but there's so much emotion and memory attached to that. How has that been as you kind of help people, especially veterans, transition from service to being a business owner, and taking those memories and understanding and all the SOPs that come with being in the service and applying it to being a business owner?
Well, when I got out of the military, I got out in 89 active duty, then I went back into the National Guard for a couple of years. All my service went into a shoebox, little tiny shoebox. I put it in the attic. I never brought up my military experience ever again. I never utilized the VA benefits. I did a little bit of the GI job, but I realized that that experience was really in here. It wasn't necessarily tons of medals and tons of this and tons of that. Everyone has their different experiences, but I think what we've done here at JDog is grab those experiences, grab those medals, throw them out there, because the way I look at it is this. Every veteran has the right and the opportunity to own their own business, to get a piece of that equity for their family. And I think it's a bunch of crap that, just because a guy goes to MIT or Stanford and they get all these accolades, the military veteran experience in the end, what we bring to the table is night and day. I do not have a college degree. And here we are sitting on the world's largest veteran franchise system, not based on MBA widgets. It's based on experience, how to go into a house, how to dig out the junk, how to shake that customer's hand, how to hug them when you're removing a 50-year-old chair that the grandmother used to sit in.
Yeah.
How to give them a hug on the way out. How to say, I'm going to take this chair and I'm going to get it to a new home for you. So that way you feel good about the transfer of product. So there's things that we can do, that we learned our instincts, how to relate to people in the military, that I think just really oozes out to the community, and they want it. We pull up in a JDog truck. The whole community goes crazy. The whole street. They're all running out. The kids are running out. They want pictures. Oh my God, the superstars of JDog are here.
They are so cool.
And it's a whole different experience. The first thing they say is, thank you for your service. Open the door, come in my house. There's the junk. Please take it and charge me whatever you feel you need to. They don't fight about price. They trust us. They feel good that we're there. And they want to hear about our stories, and we want to hear about their military experience, whether they have a family member or grandfather that served. It's pretty cool.
And that there's a level that's rooted in empathy, which is so quick to like people kind of can brush off because you just go in there and do the job and how you doing, keep it moving kind of thing. But when you meet people where they're at, something truly magical happens. And I mean, the case in point of what you're talking about, there's so much related because, what is it? Less than 1% of people serve. But everybody seems to know that less than 1% because it sticks out so much in their mind because that person was influential somewhere along in their life. What got you into doing the junk removal operation? Who was influential for you to kind of like start this whole thing?
Well, we had two failed businesses. I was in the Halloween business at one point in my career. Didn't work out, didn't have the financial experience. And then I got into the moon bounce kids play centers and swing sets. And when the economy crashed in 2008, I realized that I have a resume here to get a job, but there's nothing on it. I mean, except all this experience. There's no degree, just a couple years in the military. So I found myself with children in the middle school. My wife and I got wiped out. We lost everything. In 2010, we had filed bankruptcy, and I found myself on the internet trying to find a job, but also trying to find a business that would be recession-proof. So if this happened again, I wouldn't be left holding the bag.
Right.
Found this business, junk removal, which was recession-resistant, recession-proof. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm a pretty strong guy. I have a Jeep. Let me get a trailer, and I'll just ride around my neighborhood and meet people, shake their hand, and take their junk. They trust me. Our kids go to school together. It had nothing to do with the military experience. It was 2 weeks into this little business. It was kind of a side gig while I was trying to find a real job. Customer said, "You're early?" You said, "Yes, sir." "You're clean cut? You cleaned up behind you? Where'd you serve?" And I said, "Sir, I served so long ago, it doesn't really matter. I was in the Army, blah, blah, blah." They said, "You should tell everyone that you served." And I said, "Why would I do that? I'm hauling junk." And they said, "You don't understand. The customer's going to respect you. They're going to want to hire you because of your veteran service, and they're going to want to tell everybody about you." So I came home. We created the Bulldog, which was the Fort Stewart mascot, which was Rocky the Rocky the
Bulldog. Yeah.
And we created JDog, from there. And at that point, I was veteran owned and operated, 7 days a week, Army supervised. We really leaned on something that I had not leaned on my entire life. Yet I had that work ethic from all those years ago. I still had it. And we blew up. I started hiring vets from the VA hospital, Iraqi war veterans who were struggling with drugs and alcohol. They couldn't get jobs. Well, I was hiring them. And before you knew it, we realized, Tracy more though than me, said we need to franchise this thing. We need to put veterans into business so they can hire their brothers and sisters and get the unemployment rate from 12%, which it was back in 2012 for the 9/11 vets. Let's get that down to under 1%. And we've been focusing on that ever since.
So the franchise piece, let's talk about that because people see that and usually they think there's a massive barrier to entry, right? Because you look at you're like, oh, McDonald's or whatever, that's a $2 million entry point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now people don't have that just lying around in the couch. How does the franchise work for JDog?
So basically, you have a one-time franchise fee, which protects you and buys you a territory. So all those customers and all those businesses in that territory are yours. All the calls go out of you, all the email, website, all that direction goes to you, and you have your protected territory. And then you pay a flat royalty. Other than the other franchise models out there that they rob you on this percentage, that percentage, call centers, all these guys want to rape you. Basically, we're coming in saying, pay us a flat royalty. You go to work. The more you make, the more you keep. Yeah. And it's been amazing because we've had the success in the franchise model. These guys have been able to open up 1, 2, and 3 territories. And we have an Air Force woman veteran in Wisconsin named Catherine Peters. And she's up to 7 locations now, plus a carpet business she's opening up. So it's been very affordable. If you hustle and you follow the system, you'll do real well.
What does that on-ramp look like?
The on-ramp?
Yep, from start hey, I want to own a franchise.
It's 8 to 12 weeks. It's about 8 to 12 weeks. So what happens is you fill out the application. You go through a process. We have an Iraqi war veteran that she basically qualifies you. Your credit score, make sure you have DD-214 or you have an immediate family member with a DD-214. And then they get the sales call here. If that works out, then we invite you to a discovery day. We take you out to dinner. We show you exactly what we'll do for you if you decide to participate. We also want to make sure you're a good fit for us as well. We don't want our brand being represented by somebody we just don't like. So we got to be really careful of who we put in the system. And then you sign on, and then we walk you right through how to get your truck, how to get your trailer, your carpet van, whatever it is, and get all your SEO set up, get all your accounts set up. So when you get ready to start, everything's turnkey. You have a 1 week full of training here, again, trained by an Army veteran here. And we just train the military way. I mean, it just oozes military in this building. It's pretty crazy.
And then there's something to be said, too, about that purpose-driven mission, right? You're taking people that have looked at other opportunities and they still kind of like flounder because they're just trying to get by. But when you are on a mission and you're around people who also believe in the same mission, magic happens. I mean, you saw it from your time in service, and you're seeing it constantly over again every time a new franchisee comes into the company or another franchise opens up. Because the system works because people believe in everything that you're doing, which is truly incredible.
Yeah,
and
you
you've
have
also
neighbors.
category. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying you have neighbors that this guy served in the Navy, this guy served in the Army, and they're one county over, and they're doing barbecues together with their families. They're bringing their buddies together they served with. It's one big giant family across a massive country, and it's completely different than your normal franchise. We have a system where we have something called a base camp, where you can communicate to the entire franchise system, via text, right through a messaging. Hey, I've got a hot tub I need taken apart. I've never done this before. How can you help me? You get 20 people saying, do this, bro, do that, bro, take it to here. When you're done with it, take it there. So you've got all these people trying to help each of us all succeed. And it's pretty powerful.
No, it is, too, because, like you said, people not only want to see everyone else succeed, the understanding, people are willing to ask questions and ask for help, as opposed to just kind of like, hold on and figure it out myself. You you can go back to the team and say, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I can cut the turkey at Thanksgiving, let alone a hot tub. Like, where do I even start? Where's the first cut?
We have a virtual system in our office. So, we have a full training center here with a machine gun in the back, by the way, just so you know, it's a 50 caliber machine gun. And it seats, up to 20, 30 people. And then you can log in and be virtual anywhere in the country for new employees and watch the training from all the way in San Diego if you want to. So we are constantly teaching and improving our system with our JDogs.
Who was the first teacher that you had that kind of came along and kind of showed you that this was the way to kind of go of constantly giving back to others and finding, as you build the culture out, was there something or someone along the way where it was just like, hey, I like what they're doing, I'm going to emulate that? Or was it like a series of different people?
Well, I'll tell you what happened was, we had a couple of the compensated work therapy soldiers that were struggling with drugs and alcohol. And the one guy that worked for me, severe PTSD, Iraqi war veteran, he was getting ready to try to get himself in his own little apartment after he left the VA on his own. So my wife and I snuggled away an entire apartment full of furniture, TV, dishes, everything. And he didn't know it. We were snuggling away like squirrels. And then when he was getting ready to move to his apartment, he was just going to move the apartment and start going shopping and buying himself stuff. Tracy and I showed up with a whole truckload of everything you could think of. And we furnished everything for this kid. And I realized then that with this junk removal business, we have the responsibility and the ability to take items that were left over from someone else's life and get them into the proper hands and change someone's life. And I think that's really what showed me. It was almost like a self-fulfilling thing, because not a whole lot of other junk companies take the time to drive to someone else's home without getting charging for gas and donating and taking the time to sort and clean things up. And we do that naturally.
And it's such an agile team. It's not thousands of people. I mean, franchisees alone, right? Like just internally, like you said, there's 18 people on staff. And to be able to do that amount, you have to be able to be agile, but you're focusing on that extra 10, 20% that literally changes someone's life.
Yeah, and we've built incredible systems here. We're not the perfect junk company. We're not the perfect carpet cleaning company, but I can tell you, we can acquire customers. The people want to use us. Just showing up 10 minutes early, clean cut, shaking their hand and respecting their property and their home is 10 times better than the average Joe you see showing up. These contractors, they're late. Sometimes they go for that little lunch break at the bar. You don't know what you're going to get. It is proven that the American people, when given a choice, are going to choose a veteran business, considering things are equal or close to. And we've proven that because we've been taking on some of these large junk companies out there that have been in business 20, 30, 40 years. And we find out that our customers say, I'd rather use you than those guys. And that's all because of the military brand.
Yeah. And people will literally almost be at an inconvenience sometimes to like go out of their way to have you come in, which is, again, incredible. But that's because of the category design. I know Christopher Lochhead talks about category design, where it's like you just kind of own, you don't have to compete because you've built your own category, like
Right.
JDog Brands has done, right? Like, no, how do you go out and acquire a TV like beyond Discovery, right? Just because you're universally, authentically you.
Yeah, we definitely stand out because, again, if you want to check the good feeling box, let's do it, right? Let's hire a veteran-owned company. Let's put veterans to work. Let's give back for their service without writing them a check to a charity, like a Wounded Warrior or something. We need the service anyway, so why not give it the opportunity to our business? And they're going to know that we're going to recycle, repurpose, and do something else with those items instead of just pulling up to the landfill and pushing the button and dumping everything. And I'll tell you, you go to a landfill or you go to one of these transfer stations, you're going to see some of our competition. I'm not going to name them. Those kids don't care. They're on their cell phone. They want to get done the job. They're just dumping everything. I used to find myself climbing in the dumpster after they dumped it going, I know someone that could use that desk. Let me pull that out and I'll drop it off where it's got to go. And I've done that several times. Not proud of it, but I did it.
Yeah, but it changed somebody's life on the back end, and having to go and do that and seeing that, right? Over time, it continues to build, like you said, through the systems. But when you're creating and continue to build a system, right, things are going to get broken along the way. Is there a failure that's ultimately just been a massive, massive like success on the backside as you've kind of built out JDogs?
Yeah, I think that some of the failures for us, if you want to call them failures, I call them learning experiences,
Sure.
is that we relied, so much on these veterans to go out on their own out there and not really pull them into more calls and more meetings thinking, hey, you're a veteran, take the SOP, go to work, check in when you need to, And we realize that some of these people just don't ask for help, especially the Marines. They don't like asking for help. They just go out there and run and conquer. So it's a lot different now. We're much more, into focusing on communication relationships with our franchisees because they don't know it all and they need to continue to learn and grow. As we're changing systems, they need to do the same thing. So we invested in something called Fran Connect, a very expensive software where everything's captured under one software program. So they can go in and get any logo they need. They can order shirts. They can order marketing material. They can ask questions. There's all this stuff. So it's taken a long time to get there because, franchising, to be a franchisor, it takes millions of dollars to build a franchise system. If someone says it costs less than millions of dollars, they're not building a franchise system. They're building a hobby.
Yeah, that's affiliate marketing. But there's that constant drive to be better than yesterday. So then, Jerry, how are you better today than yesterday?
I keep improving on adding really good quality people around me. I got a great staff, and I can go to anybody in this office right now and say, I need you to get this done, and I know they're going to do everything they can to try to get it done. So I think as we grow, we try to add better systems, add better people. I've gone through 3 PR firms, public relation companies, and I think the one we have now is even getting the messaging even better and better now. Our sales department, this is our 3rd sales department person running it. He's been killing it. I think we've signed 290 locations in the last 4 years through a pandemic. Pretty unheard of, out there in the franchise world. But it's a simple goal for me, and it may sound weird, but there's 42,000 zip codes in the United States. I want to have a JDog in every zip code. So if you have a little town under 15, 20,000 people, if you have a pickup truck, with a JDog on it, and you pay a very small fee to be part of our brand, you're in business. Then you're part of the bigger picture. So to me, that's going to take time and energy, but I think every veteran anywhere in the United States should be able to own their own JDog branded franchise.
Right, and be able to give back to the community and continue to serve others. Jared, where can people go to learn more about you, JDog, everything that's being built?
Well, that's one thing we learned. We learned to get all the information together under one little website. It's jdog.com, and you can see everything from how to book a job, how to purchase a franchise, how to looking for jobs in general. Our television series, which is streaming on Vet TV right now, which is pretty cool. And all of our apparel, we're partners with Grunt Style. I don't know if you knew that or not. So Grunt Style has a whole category for JDog for our apparel. I sit on multiple boards, which I sit on the JDog Foundation board as their executive director, and also the Grunt Style Foundation. So we're starting getting into real aggressively with healing mental health and preventing veteran suicide. So you can see that is coming on top of what we're doing now, and we're really getting that message out there.
That's awesome. Where can people go to learn more about that? All on the website. And if they want
Everything's
to
on the
connect
website.
with you, LinkedIn
JDog,
is the place to go.
JDog Foundation on the website. Yep, it's under jdog.com.
And I will make sure we link that in the show notes below.
Okay.
Jerry, thank you so much for your time, sharing your methods, your strategies, your tactics, and most importantly, thanks for having our 6.
Thanks, Tom. See you.